Well, getting married often starts with paperwork, but many couples are looking for something deeper than just the legal process, right? Well, today we're talking about the difference between a legal marriage and a spiritual union. Joining us again is Chaplain Scott from the Walk-In Wedding Chapel. Always great to see you. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you so much, Jordan.
Of course.
You look fabulous as always.
Thank you. You look dapper yourself. Yes. So this is really interesting because we haven't talked about this before, the difference between a legal marriage and a spiritual union. Can you tell us the difference?
That is a great question, and they really are different. There's two sides to marriage. There is the legal side,
right,
and there's the spiritual side. And the legal side is a contract, and the contract is mediated by the state, and they'll hold you to it. You know, you're going to live up to these things, but it's not the same thing as when two people enter into a spiritual union. And we do both at the Walk-In Wedding Chapel.
That's wonderful. So what is a spiritual union exactly for those who may not know?
Great question. I like to explain it with a biology analogy.
Okay.
Two cells come together and the spark of life happens.
Chemistry.
And a new life begins. And it's the same thing when two become one. The Bible literally says the two become one. And that's not just metaphor. It is literally something you can see happen when the two people come together. They share their love, they exchange their vows, their commitment, and the two literally, we say, a couple walks in and a family walks out.
Oh, I love the sound of that. That is so true. And so would you say that couples feel the difference between, you know, something that's just a legal document versus that spiritual feeling, that union?
Absolutely. They never feel the same again. From that moment on, you can see from the time they leave the building, they are just completely different, and it completely affects the nature of the relationship and how they relate to each other.
Right, and it's all about working together, right? I mean, marriage is a compromise, and sometimes it can be difficult, but you have to get through it and work together. And that's what I think is so wonderful, because you know, it's two completely different people getting together. You might have the same interests, but you have to work with how do we keep this together in terms of blending both of our things that we like, right? And then obviously carrying that into the future with maybe having children later on or something like that, and creating that family like you were mentioning.
Absolutely. This is actually the best part of the spiritual union.
Right.
Because getting into that relationship requires trust.
Yes.
And it requires trust that the other person is all in there with you in order to make the compromises and the changes and the adaptations and to build this family unit forever. You need to know that that other person is there with you fully, physically, mentally, spiritually, emotionally, all in. And that is what standing before God, making that commitment matters, when the two actually become one.
Well, I love what you just said there too, all in. You got to be all in. You can't just like be halfway there, right? This is a marriage. This is a union. And I think that is so special. And we were just seeing some of the images there. I mean, you've married over 5,000 people, or couples, I should say. That is amazing. So what does that kind of union, how does that affect marriages? How does that keep it just going, I guess?
It really does translate. And they study this stuff in the universities. And it translates into actually how you experience the relationship. Couples who have shared spiritual commitment in the relationship have 30 to 50% lower divorce rates.
Oh, really?
They have higher rates of intimacy, higher rates of satisfaction, higher rates of fulfillment. And in fact, studies show they live longer, they earn more money, they rate happier on self-scores. It really makes a huge difference when you stand and put your whole self together with that person and hold nothing back.
Right. Oh, I think that is so wonderful. So if you have not been to the chapel, I've been there. It is beautiful what you've done with the place. It is a really nice location. Like I said, you've seen some of the pictures there that we showed. And I mean, it's wonderful because you offer kind of some different packages where you can be totally transformed, or you can just show up like this, right? You just welcome everybody, and I think that's fantastic. So walkinweddingchapel.com if they're interested.
That is a perfect place to go.
Awesome. Well, check it out, y'all. If you are looking to tie the knot this year, or maybe you know someone who is, head over to walkinweddingchapel.com for more information. Thank you so much for joining us again, and for what you do. I think this is so cool. I know you're changing a lot of people's lives.
Absolutely.
Thank you again.